Uni-President cuts prices on sugar-free drinks. Taiwan stocks plunge, NT dollar hits 3-month low. THSR to add non-reserved cars at peak hours. Israel calls up 60,000 reservists. China's Xi makes rare visit to Tibet. Nicest judge in the world dies after cancer diagnosis. Japanese chain halts rice ball sales over fake expiration dates. Sweden's landmark church crawls towards new location.
Hello, I'm Wade Lee. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. It is Thursday, August 21st, Poetry Day, and here are your top stories. And for today's Taiwan's news, Uni-President announced on August 20th it'll cut factory prices on its sugar-free drinks eligible for new tax exemptions. The company voiced strong support for the government's health-oriented policy, saying the savings will pass on to the consumers in line with the Returning Taxes to the People initiative. Taiwan's stocks plunged over 600 points on August 20th, while the NT dollar weakened to 30.308 against the US dollar, a 3-month low. Forex turnover hit US $1.595 billion. Analysts warned further discrepancies towards 30.4, though exporters welcomed the softer currency. Taiwan high-speed rail carried over 39.8 million passengers by June, nearing pre-pandemic levels. With overcrowding leaving some reserved seats traveler unable to board, THSR Chairman Shi Chen said special non-reserved cars will be added during peak hours starting next year to ease pressure. And in global news, the Israeli military says it is calling up about 60,000 reservists ahead of a planned ground offensive to capture and occupy all of Gaza City. The reservists will report for duty in September, and most of the troops mobilized for the offensive will be active duty personnel. They added that the troops are already operating in Zaytown and Jabalia areas as part of the preparation for the plan, which has been approved and will be presented to the Security Cabinet later this week.
Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in Gaza City are expected to be ordered to evacuate and head to shelters in southern Gaza. The International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, said further displacement and an intensification of hostilities risk worsening an already catastrophic situation. Israel's government announced its intention to conquer the entire Gaza Strip after indirect talks with Hamas on a ceasefire and hostage release deal broke down last month. Mediators Qatar and Egypt are trying to secure an agreement before the offensive begins and have presented a new proposal for a 60-day truce and the release of about half of the 50 hostages held in Gaza, which Hamas said it had accepted.
Chinese leader Xi Jinping made a rare visit to Tibet on Wednesday to mark the 60th anniversary of the consolidation of Beijing's long-contested rule over the Himalaya territory. Xi arrived in Tibet regional capital of Lhasa, where he received a warm welcome from people of various ethnic groups who waved bouquets of flowers and danced to joyful rhythms. Xinhua news agency said Xi urged the building of a modern socialist Tibet that is united, prosperous, civilized, harmonious, and beautiful.
Communist forces occupied Tibet in 1951. In 1965, Mao Zedong's single-party dictatorship established the Tibet Autonomous Region. Decades of political repression followed, including the demolition of some Buddhist monasteries and the imprisonment of monks. In recent years, the region has seen the large-scale migration of majority Han Chinese to the high-altitude plateau, the virtual closure of Tibet to journalists and foreigners, the removal of Tibetan children from their families to boarding schools where they are taught in Mandarin, and the repression of all forms of political or cultural expression outside Communist Party control. China also insists on the right to appoint a reincarnation of the Dalai Lama, who has lived in self-imposed exile in neighboring India since fleeing Chinese rule in 1959.
A U.S. judge who amassed a huge online fan base via clips of his compassion in the courtroom has died. Frank Caprio was on the bench at the court in Providence, Rhode Island, for almost 4 decades. He became affectionately known as the nicest judge in the world, NBC Boston reported. after viral clips of him handing out justice with a smile with views more than 1 billion times on social media. The latter years of his career, which ended in 2023, were documented in the TV show Caught in Providence.
A statement on Wednesday on his Instagram page, which had 3.2 million followers, said he had died aged 88, after a long and courageous battle with pancreatic cancer. It said he was beloved for his compassion, humility, and unwavering belief in the goodness of people. He had posted a message from his hospital bed the day before, saying, "Unfortunately, I've had a setback. I'm back in the hospital now, and I'm coming to you again asking you to remember me in your prayers once more." Caprio's persona was at odds with my fellow TV judges, who were less sympathetic and more confrontational. In one popular clip, he dismissed a traffic ticket handed to a bartender who skipped a red light, as they were only earning less than $4 an hour. Caprio also used his fame to speak out about inequality in the justice system.
A Japanese convenience store chain has pulled its handmade rice balls, also known as onigiri, from shelves after employees were caught faking expiration dates. Mini-Stop, which has more than 1,800 stores across Japan, said it was conducting an emergency investigation at all of its stores after discovering that staff at some locations had incorrectly labeled the expiration dates of the rice balls, which are prepared in store. Productions of handmade rice balls and bento boxes have been suspended since August 9th.
It said it had so far confirmed that staff at 23 locations nationwide had engaged in sales methods that deviated from our product manufacturing regulations. Products that should have been promptly labeled with expiration dates after being prepared in store kitchens were left without any labels for a period of time in order to extend the expiration period, while products already on display were relabeled with expiration dates. Mini-Stop said it had reported the 23 stores to the health department and that it would continue to conduct inspections, investigate the causes of these incidents, and make every effort to prevent a recurrence.
A landmark 113-year-old church at risk from ground subsidence is being relocated in its entirety in a 5-kilometer move along a road in Sweden's far north. The vast red timber structure in Kiruna, dating back to 1912, has been hoisted on giant trailers and is on its way to the new city center. Traveling at a maximum speed of 500 meters an hour, the journey is expected to take 2 days. The old city center is at risk from ground fissure after more than a century of iron ore mining.
The church's move is the most spectacular and symbolic moment of the wider relocation of buildings in Kiruna, which lies 145 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle. As the short ceremony ended, engines rumbled to life and the massive wooden church began inching forward. In the first hour, it managed just 30 meters, the trailer's wheels slowly turning under its weight. Large crowds lined the streets under clear blue skies, watching in awe as the timber structure rolled forward. Safety barriers kept people back, but the building passed so close that many said it felt as though they could almost reach out and touch it. The man in charge of the move said, "It's a historic event, a very big and complex operation, and we don't have a margin of error. But everything is under control."
The answer for yesterday was A, engage. The teacher tried to engage the students with an interesting story. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into today's news. Israel calls up 60,000 reservists. Number 1, offensive, 冒犯的,令人不快的. His comments were highly offensive to many people. Number 2, catastrophic, 灾难性的. The earthquake caused catastrophic damage to the city. Number 3, displacement, 位移,流离失所. The flood led to the displacement of thousands of families. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comments section. The correct answer will be announced next week. At its base description, poetry is a form of writing that uses the aesthetic and rhythmic qualities of language, combined with similes and metaphor to convey meaning beyond the literal words. The history of poetry is lengthy, traceable in written form as far back as the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, and has been used as a mimetic method of passing down stories and mythologies across cultures. And that's all for today's FUNDAY News. Be sure to tune into FUNDAY News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join FUNDAY for free. I'm Wade Lee, your host. I'll see you next time.